Hello, hi, welcome. So remember all those times that I was like, I'm not always gonna talk about books, I'm gonna start making videos about not books, and then I proceeded to just not make anything? That was fun, wasn't it? I also said I wasn't going to talk about that anymore, and so I'm not going to talk about it, that's it. But I was just, going to make a joke because that's how I deal with things, apparently. Okay. So I had this idea for this video right before VidCon. I was like, really like high on life and like thinking about things, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I should talk about this because I'm sure this has happened to other people and we can all talk about it. It'll be great. I'm really glad that I waited though until after VidCon, just because I had to, because like being around my friends and talking to them and just spending time with them, these people that we all have different varying degrees of like success. So it's like some of us do YouTube full time, not me. And some of us don't, me, obviously. But it's interesting because it just kind of really made me think about what I'm gonna talk about today. So someone that I have been following since basically getting on this website just to even watch videos is Charlie McDonnell. And a few months ago, I don't know how long ago it was, it could have been like several months ago, he made a video called Unfollowing My Dreams or something like that, where he talked about how he got to write a book and he never thought he wanted to write a book. It was never something he aspired to, but turns out he really enjoyed it, and it was really cool to like discover that you like this thing that you never thought you would even care about. Ever since I watched that video, I've been thinking about unfollowing my own dreams, but kind of in a different context, not necessarily trying things I've never tried before, which I have been thinking about, but also about like realizing that maybe the things you think you want to do aren't the things you want to do. Maybe it's just because you have some other motivation. That was fun, wasn't it? You see what happens when I don't talk about books? It's great. So if you've been following me for a while, you probably saw like my college advice video that I made where I talked about like, being in theater and like doing like kind of the acting thing and like all this other stuff. And honestly, recently it's come to my realization that I actually don't want to do that. And let me just tell you about that. I think I talked about in that video that throughout my life, like even as like a young child, I had no concept of like a career or like aspirations. Like all I really wanted to do when I was a kid, I wanted to like either be a doctor, an astronaut, or a paleontologist, which if I had to pick one of those now, I would pick up, the digging up the dinosaur bones, because that sounds like the most me. The other two, like terrifying, no thank you. Like I changed my major in college more than I have ever heard of anybody else changing it. I mean, I dropped out halfway through because I was, in elementary education, and I was like, I don't want to do that. Oh, it's so scary. So it's like I've never had like a concrete thing. But like a few years ago, I was like, oh, I think I want to be an actor. That's what I want to do. This really just comes down to, and it's really embarrassing kind of to admit this, but I don't think I ever actually wanted to. I kind of just wanted the attention, which, that's always good. It's good that I didn't, break your butt, going to LA and like doing all these things just to realize that I don't particularly like, acting. It's fun. I'll tell you a story. The way I came to this conclusion was this past spring. A friend of mine asked me if I wanted to fill in a spot in like a local production of South Pacific because one of the nurses had dropped out. She's like, it's a lot of fun, it's no stress, like all you gotta do is like learn some songs that you probably already kind of know and do some dances, which you're really good at picking up on, so you'll be fine. I was like, singing, dancing on a stage, yes please, that sounds great. Which I know that I like those things. I like singing and dancing and performing, but do I like being a character? Not as much, because I had no lines in that play. And I've been in a play with lines, and I liked singing and dancing and having no lines or like a concrete character more than I liked having a character and character development and blah blah blah, all that stuff. So like, but the real kicker was that at the end, I was so tired, but I'd only been doing this for like 3 weeks, and I was like, I don't want to do another one. Wow, that was exhausting. Which everybody else was like, oh, you should audition for the next one. You should audition for this and this and this. And I was like, guys, I can't handle it. I just can't do it. I was like, that was 3 weeks. How on earth did I ever think that I wanted to do this, like, professionally? Like, I have friends who are pursuing acting. They're always going. I don't know how they do it. Like, if you're out there in, like, LA or, like, Atlanta and you're, like, pursuing acting, like, good for you, because that sounds so hard. Like, I'm so proud of you. It was the weirdest feeling, though, when I realized this. I was like, I don't think I actually want to act. I think I just wanted to be famous. And that's a fun thing, is that I did know this beforehand, but I've always tried to, like, push it down, you know, like, repress it, is that whenever I'm, like, sad, or I'm going through, like, a depressive episode, which does happen, you know, whatever, I start fantasizing about being, like, a famous actress, or, you know, whatever strikes my fancy that day. And I don't fantasize about, like, developing a character and, like, I mean, a little bit maybe, but it's mostly like, wouldn't it be fun to be on, like, Friends and be on the set and, like, have all these friends and do interviews and, like, press? That's not what it is, Katie. That's a different thing. So for me, I was just like, oh yeah, it's definitely a thing. When I get sad and I feel trapped, I want recognition. But then it comes, because I know that, like, people are going to watch this that know me in real life, that I've talked about this to, and they're going to be like, okay, so, like, what do you want to do? And just to save that conversation, I think I really just want to, like, focus on writing. I haven't written consistently since, like, going to Hawaii. Like, because fun fact about me, before I moved out there, I used to, like, write all the time. Never finished anything, because that's another thing I have, but I used to do it all the time. And maybe not, like, a story, but, like, you know, some bad poetry, some, like, bad songs that I have no way to put into music because I can't play any instruments, you know, that kind of stuff. But I've definitely written short stories. I've definitely, like, come up with a bajillion outlines, and it's like, since I've been home, I haven't been doing it a lot. I'm not going to say I do it every day or anything, but I have been thinking about it and doing some, and it's nice, because that's really what I mean, it's so funny to me, because when I think about being an actor, I want everyone to know me. But when I think about being a writer, I seriously contemplate, if I ever get published, am I even going to publish under my real name? Because, like, writing is so, like, personal. It's like, do I want my name, Katie Strange, Catherine Strange would be the name I would use probably, to be out there for everybody to see? I don't know. I guess we'll see when we see, but, you know, it's weird. I don't know what that says. Haven't really thought about it too much, but it's an interesting thought. I also just want to, like, keep making YouTube videos, which I didn't know if I wanted to do until, you know, I always do this. Every single year I feel like, I'm like, I don't know what to do about YouTube. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I go and I'm like, I can't leave. I can't just go away. I can't just disappear, which I do, but I don't want to. So, yeah, I don't know, but I feel like I've talked enough. Have you ever done this? Like, am I the only person who's ever thought that they wanted to do something and then realized that you don't want to do it, but you actually want something else that's a product of it? Surely I am not the only person. I know I'm not, because that would be insane to be the only person who feels a feeling. That's crazy. Okay, but anyway, I think I've rambled enough, and I don't know, I just wanted to share that because I thought it was an interesting concept. Unrealizing your dream. Sometimes you're just like, oh, this is what I want, and sometimes you're like, this isn't what I want, and then you're like, thank God this is not what I want. Life is so much easier without that hanging over my head. But anyway, yeah, okay, so I'm gonna go, and I will see you soon. I will talk to you later. Goodbye.